Here's, here's Survivor Chapter 51 Art Groups. She had so much time on her hands that she decided to look for the art groups on the internet. It didn't take her long to find what she was looking for, and luckily for her, it was in Andalusia. Spent the rest of the day sketching the beautiful scenery of the mountains and the slowly changing sky. She was so engrossed in her art that the hours flew by, and before she knew it, it was time to go to the group. Although she was nervous, she knew it was a positive step and a good way to meet new people. When she got there, she was surrounded by a motley crew of characters, some old and some young. The teacher came in with a pleasant smile on his face and he introduced himself as Miguel. He had a lovely tan and his hair was jet black in an Elvis style quiff. He was hot and it was difficult not to stare. Control yourself, she thought. To her surprise, a woman came into the class and became totally naked. This wasn't what she had expected, but she decided to go with it. She looked at her easel and started drawing the model's plump shape carefully. After 10 minutes, she had created a good likeness. Miguel came up to her and offered advice. She could smell his strong musky aftershave. With a flick of his paintbrush, he'd placed a flash of lipstick onto the drawing of the model. This made her laugh, and she naturally leaned closer to him. He was very encouraging and very professional. He kept his eye on the drawing, but she could tell he'd noticed her. Most men did. He gave her more encouragement, and she scribbled away as the model lay in front of her like a plump statue. At the end of the lesson, they all had a glass of red wine, and she couldn't stop herself from flirting. They looked at all of the paintings, and Miguel offered advice on his encouraging opinions. It had been a great success to her. At the end of the evening, she decided to walk home to clear her head. It was raining lightly, but the rain was warm. The moon shone down romantically. She just wished she could have someone special with her to share the moment. When she got home, she was so tired she could hardly take her clothes off. She slept quickly, but unfortunately, she had a disturbing nightmare. In her dream, she was on a romantic date with a wealthy gentleman in a fabulously expensive restaurant. He invited her back to his luxury apartment, and he was so romantic that she had accepted. All the way back in the taxi, they held hands, and she was excited. But as soon as they got into his apartment, the look in his eyes changed, along with his behavior. With no warning, he swore at her and accused her of looking at other men. She denied it, but he wouldn't listen. He grabbed her round the throat. His hold was so strong that she found that she couldn't breathe. Her knees buckled and she frantically stretched and grabbed at his hands, and the room grew darker. She woke screaming, and the bed was wet with sweat. It was a relief it wasn't real. Maybe it's a warning, she thought, comforted by a dressing gown. She flicked through the channels and found the holiday program. She needed the distraction. It reminded her of the amazing time she'd had on the cruise liner, and her thoughts came back to Keith, and a lump formed in her throat. He was the first man she'd ever loved and who had treated her with respect. Why is life so unfair, she thought. She then was disturbed by the ringing of the phone. It was from another client. He was an older gentleman and he wanted to take her out to the theatre that evening. It didn't take her long to make up her mind, and she whipped over to the phone and deleted the message. It's time for a new life, she thought. She remembered Alf and how much fun he was. She had his number somewhere and she rummaged through her bags to find it. After 10 minutes, she was successful. She had to act fast because she only had a few days left before she had to return to the UK. It was not a trip she was looking forward to making alone, and when she phoned him, he sounded surprised but pleased. They chatted for 5 minutes and then she decided to take the plunge and invite him over that evening for a drink. She was too tired to cook and he understood. Feeling excited and anxious, she decided to go for a run. The day was overcast, so she knew she wouldn't overheat, so she decided on a long run to shake off her nerves. It was pleasant jogging along the running boards and looking at the beach and hearing the waves, it was like meditation. Her feet pounded pleasantly on the boards, and the view of new homes and hotels passed by. She set off from San Pedro and headed for Puerto Banús. She knew it was a long distance, but she didn't care. After half an hour, she brought bottled water and drank most of it quickly.